I created a video every single day for 3 years at a Catholic TV station. Starting at 9 a.m., I had to find the story, set up the interviews, drive out in New York City traffic, film interviews, B-roll, and narration by myself, come back again through New York City traffic, and edit the footage together. And it all had to be done by 4 p.m. So if you're looking for video production efficiency tips, you've come to the right place. My first tip is critical. It's one that will streamline your entire process from start to finish and save you hours, maybe even days. Know the story from the start. Let me repeat that. Know the story from the start. Knowing your story will dictate everything you do and make the decisions for you. When I was creating videos for the TV station, I had to immediately pinpoint the most engaging aspect of whatever news I needed to share, articulate it in one sentence, then capture it. It's very similar for marketing videos. Before you do anything, you need to know who you want to speak to, that is your audience, and pinpoint the most engaging thing to communicate to them. This is the thing most likely to hold their attention and prompt them to join with your mission. Write it down in one sentence. That is your story. Now, allow that story to dictate your plans. Who can you interview to convey that story? What sort of visuals does it evoke? These ideas flow naturally from the main idea. Then, when it's time to film, again, let your story make the decisions. Filming time is both valuable and chaotic. You have to capture everything you need in a short period of time. Without having a story sentence, you are essentially shooting in the dark, trying to capture everything that moves. You'll likely take way too much time, gather way too much footage, and still possibly miss something critical to the video. If you know the story before you film, you can be selective about your shots while being more confident that you are capturing what you will need in the editing room. And let me tell you, having less but more relevant footage in the editing room will literally save you days of work. Know your story from the start and save hours of precious time. Next, introduce yourself and get familiar with key players, both in and around your organization. I'm not just talking about the leadership and the board, although you should know them. I mean that staff member who's been there for 3 decades, regular donors, or some of those participants who are always there at events. It's best to do this like yesterday, but start the process before you create your next video. Because the thing about videos is they require people to be in them. Knowing the key players shortcuts 2 processes. First, after you define your story, you have a Rolodex of people you can reference and see who might be a good fit for it. You don't have to waste time researching and hunting for ideas from scratch. My address book is still full of hundreds of names, plus my notes on what topics I thought they could address in future videos. Secondly, knowing people in advance makes their yes faster and easier. It's a much harder, much more time-consuming task to both introduce yourself to someone and ask them to be part of your video at the same time. You'll have to pester them to get any answer and spend even more time giving them details that will evoke enough trust to get their consent to participate. By contrast, if they already know you and what you're trying to accomplish in the communications department, they will likely say yes right away before you even have time to explain. Know the key players for your organization in advance. Next, streamline the scheduling process. Hands down, the most time-consuming aspect of production is getting the ducks in a row. One study showed that it takes over 7 emails to schedule 1 meeting, and that only increases exponentially the more people that are involved. Narrow down to about 10 potential filming dates spread out over a few weeks, then use a scheduling tool like Doodle to survey everyone who needs to be involved. While you're at it, set a backup date in case of unexpected conflicts. And finally, streamline the review process. It is tempting to show a draft of the video to as many people as possible to get their opinions, but much of the video aesthetics is subjective, so you will acquire much feedback that's conflicting or isn't effective. Pick a couple stakeholders, as well as someone familiar with your mission who is in your target audience. Let them look at your initial video plans and then at the first draft of the video. Their feedback at those 2 key points will be enough to guide your decisions for the rest of the video. Know your story from the start, introduce yourself to key players well in advance, streamline both the scheduling and the review process, and with those 4 efficiency tips, you'll be making a video in no time. For more mission-driven marketing tips like this one, subscribe to our newsletter at hundredfoldvideo.com and let us help you to multiply your ministry.